Hello everyone, if this is your first talk with us today, then welcome to the Sales Enablement Festival. And for those of you who've already been tuning in to our selection of talks, welcome back. We have so much more amazing content heading your way, but before we get back into it, we just want to take this moment to thank all our amazing sponsors and partners for bringing this virtual festival to life. We also want to thank you, our attendees, for joining us today. If you're enjoying the content from the festival, be sure to check out the SEC membership plans. It's here where you can gain access to exclusive content, research and frameworks, and discounts to things like our brand new workshop series and so much more. You can find more information about this over on the Sales Enablement Collective website. Don't forget to have your questions ready for the live Q&A at the end of this talk, as you'll have the chance to put them to the experts themselves. That's everything from me, so all that's left to do is sit back and enjoy this next talk. Hello everyone and welcome back to this next session. This session is hosted by Mariana Gasadello, who is the Head of Culture, Learning and Sales Enablement at TikTok, and she's going to talk to you all about doing versus being, practical lessons on building a sales enablement career with an agile mindset. So over to you, Mariana.
Great. So welcome everyone to this session. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So I'm very happy to be here, first of all. Thank you so much, Jack, for the invite. When Jack approached me a couple of weeks ago for this speech, I was thinking, what is the value that I can bring to the audience, right? What can I say that really helps and inspires the team on their career journey? So this is basically the model of my session today. I've brought a couple of lessons and stories throughout my journey in sales enablement. And hopefully I inspire you somehow in your next chapter. But before we start, I just want to listen from you. So I have a poll here. Jack, if you don't mind, can you please just show to the audience? Hello from Bangalore, from London. So please tell me, how long have you been working sales enablement? Less than 1 year? Between 1 or 3? More than 3 years? I just would like to listen from you. All right. Can we see the response, Jack?
Yeah, so it looks like the majority of people have either been in it for less than 1 year or between 1 to 3 years.
Okay, great. So that's good to know, because I will tweak my comments to you guys. Just moving on here, before I share my lessons, I want to introduce myself to you. So nice to meet everyone. I see people here from Bangalore, from London, from Paris. I'm really excited to see so many people from different countries. I'm also from different country that I live now. I'm from Brazil. I've been living in Dubai for 7 years. I'm public relations, graduated in marketing and research. I've got 10 years experience in sales enablement. I used to introduce myself as a dinosaur in the field. I was part of sales enablement team in IBM 10 years ago, when sales enablement was not even called the sales enablement. It was field enablement. So yeah, and just recently I did a big jump in my career. I moved to TikTok to be responsible for culture, learning and sales enablement for Meetup region and GBS organization, Global Business Solutions. I'm an advocate of diversity. I led the women's group for 5 years in my previous company. I'm a COVID-year mom who loves cooking. Just a little bit about me. So moving on here to my career, this is my journey. I started my career right after the university, really focused on public relations and research. Those were 2 areas that I really were passionate about: communications, research, understanding the audience, understanding people behaviors. And I worked on that field for 6 years. I joined IBM that time to be responsible for customer support relationship, and then I moved to internal communications, and then to HR. And after 2 or 3 years in IBM on those fields, I was invited to lead field enablement in IBM. What was field enablement? I will share with you a little bit, but the discipline was being built at that time, and I was invited to be part of that. I worked as team leader for communications and field enablement for 5 years. Then I was invited to move to Dubai to assume the sales enablement leadership position for Middle East and Africa region. I've got that role for 3 years. Then I moved to a more strategic role around global markets and Red Hat acquisition. And I was also introduced to Agile. And this is why I brought Agile to the table today, because it completely changed my career and the way that I see sales enablement. And now, as I told you, a couple of months ago, I joined TikTok to assume culture learning and sales enablement. I really want to make this very informal, the most interactive as possible. So feel free to adhere your questions. I'll try to cover all of them until the end. If not, feel free to ping me in LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to continue the conversation later. But what I brought here is really a few things that I learned throughout my 10 years of experience in sales enablement, by sharing a few stories, just to make this very practical. So number one, before, in fact, I share the first story, I really would like to listen from you as well. So please, Jack, can you show the second poll? I really would like to listen from you guys, the sentence that better explains your current work. You are new to the sales enablement field and still learning what this is about. You deliver sales training, or you deliver a sales enablement in a solid and established department. Jack, if you can share with me the results, I appreciate.
Sure, yeah. So looks like 70% have selected that they are new to the sales enablement field and they're still learning what this is about.
Okay, great. So this is a good segue for my next slide. So first of all, if you are new to sales enablement discipline, my first piece of advice is make an assessment. How does sales enablement look like in your company? Understand, observe, analyze. I did this 10 years ago when I was invited to be part of sales enablement team in IBM. What does sales enablement mean for you, company? What is the value that you are looking from me to be delivered? I was introduced at that time, 10 years ago, in Hortolândia site, the countryside of Brazil, to a very interesting maturity model that the team that time envisioned for the discipline, the sales enablement discipline. So try to ask in your department if there's something similar. Okay, why are you thinking to bring the sales enablement discipline to this company? What are your thoughts? What does the path look like for you in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? If you get zero response, because the company is also learning with you and from you, go outside, go to the market, ask. I think this assessment is really important. Number 2, understand. Understand from career perspective, how does your journey look like? What is your background? Before starting this sales enablement journey, what did you do before? What were you asked to do in your current position as sales enablement professional? What is expected from you, from the leadership team, from your manager, from your business leaders, sales leaders? Ask do surveys, have quick chats, informal chats, but collect the most of information that you can, and really understand the so what. I did this with a manager. It's also another story that I want to share with you. I've got a manager here in Dubai who really transformed my career with a simple question. So what? So why, Mariana, do you want to grow? What do you want next in your career? What do you want now? What is the value that you want and can deliver now to your company, now and in the near future, in the long term? So I used to call this manager as a so what manager because I embedded this so what message in everything that I do. So what? Why should I care? What is the value behind it? I think it is also important from career perspective to have in mind. Because if you have a clear value in your mind that you want to deliver, you feel motivated. You will wake up and say, okay, today I will do this. Tomorrow I will do that. So this compels for the change. Number 3, plan. Okay, you assessed the maturity level of sales enablement in your company. You understood the value that you can bring to the table, the value that they are aiming from you, the value that people outside deliver as sales enablement leader. So let's plan. Have a clear goal and create a path to achieve it. I've done that in the past. I've got around 5 or 6 years in sales enablement in Brazil, established department, and I asked myself, what is next? So what? What is the next value that I can bring to the table? And then by talking to a mentor, which is something that I also really recommend, have a mentor career-wise, professional-wise, someone who really helps you, more experienced, who helps you to create your path. And that mentor told me, Mariana, you seem to be willing to have an international experience. Why don't you try a different role outside Brazil? And then I planned, and after 1 year, I managed to move to Dubai to assume the sales enablement leadership position for MEA region. It was not a one-day achievement. As I told you, I really planned it step by step. Let me talk to people, let me understand the opportunities, let me see countries that I resonate personally. I planned and I created my path. And then I managed to move to Dubai. So this is another suggestion that I would give to you. Before we go to the other lesson, let me also ask you another question. So Jack, can you help me on that? Select the sentence that best explains your role nowadays. You do sales enablement, or you are a sales enablement professional? Jack, if you don't mind.
Yep, so it looks like the majority of people do sales enablement, but it's very close between the two.
Okay, great. And it was a provocative question from my side, just to introduce a concept here about doing versus being. And this is purely around Agile. And this is a concept that I was introduced 3 years ago that completely changed my personal life and my professional life as well. So a story about that. I was a sales enablement leader in Middle East and Africa region for IBM. When, as I said, I was invited to be part of an global Agile program. In that time, I flew to New York for a 1-week Agile training, which completely changed my life. I felt by heart what Agile was. And then I came back home with the mission to champion agile transformation in marketing. And I asked myself, okay, but to champion a change, a cultural change, a behavior change, a new way of work change, I really need to feel that by heart, because otherwise I would not be passionate and naturally able to do this transformation. And I started applying agile with my sales enablement team that time. I invited an agile coach to reset the way that I was doing sales enablement. And after a couple of workshops, we completely transformed the way that we were working together. Why? Because the agile is much more than a framework way of work. Agile is a mindset of adapting, seeking for continuous improvement, seeking for the value, having a clear goal to achieve and looking for it. And this is what I felt. I applied with my team, and I applied to my career as well. So what is the current stage that I am in sales enablement? What is my next step? What I need to do to get there? What are the changes that I need to do along the way? I need to be open. Sometimes things do not happen as we wish. But we need to always be improving the way that we do. So for example, in sales enablement perspective, let's pretend that you are now organizing a huge sales conference, right? What does the conference look like for you in one month? What are the steps that you need to do to deliver an excellent conference to your sales team? Be prepared to adapt along the way, because challenges will happen, changes will be needed. So from execution perspective, sales enablement execution perspective, and from career perspective, this is something that I learned that I really encourage you to have in mind. Because sometimes you want to be promoted, but the role is not available. Sometimes you want to move to other country, but the opportunity is not available. So how will you change yourself and your mindset to adapt to this scenario? This is really important. 6, envision. After assessing, understanding, creating your path, being prepared to adapt along the way, what is the future for you? Envision, how can a career in sales enablement look like? And here we have a tremendous opportunity to build the way that we think is applicable as per our background, as per our company needs, as per our buyer needs, as per our environment. We have an excellent opportunity to build, especially because sales enablement is a new discipline. I was just looking before we speak. There is a research that says that in the past 5 years, the number of sales enablement roles in LinkedIn has been increasing 5 times. So it means that it's a new profession. If we look at 5 years, it's compared to a doctor or a lawyer, it's really a new profession. So what is the future for us as professional? By being new to a new professional, we have a tremendous opportunity to build as we want. And I want to bring here to the table my experience when I moved to TikTok. Completely imagine moving for 16 years in IBM to a company completely different, which is growing exponentially and very fast. How does the company look like nowadays? What is the market? What are the buyers' needs? And since I also have the culture hat, I start thinking, what is the foundation of sales enablement? And then for my experience, I envision the future of sales enablement. I can be wrong. Maybe in 1 year time we will talk and say, oh, no, Marianne, you are completely wrong. But by looking at the evolution of sales enablement, we started as field enablement. For my experience, for example, I started by delivering value with communications. That time, there was a need to communicate with sellers differently, because when a product is launched, the level of details and the information that I needed to share with the sales team was different than an HR person, for example. So that time, value for sales enablement was to do a very accurate and informative communication with sales team. Throughout the time, we move it. So, okay, now I have established communications channel. How does training look like? What is the value that I can bring to the table by doing a different onboarding to sales team, by doing a different workshop with sales team? So we moved from field enablement to sales enablement. And then what is the future? How does the future look like? For me, and I've also seen, and we discuss a lot that sales and the future of sales enablement, future not because it's reality already in some organizations, revenue enablement. We are not sales enablement, we are revenue enablement. We really allow revenue. But what about culture? So for me, from my experience, what I've seen around after COVID, after what I read, we are moving to be a culture enablement discipline. Yes, delivering training. Yes, impacting revenue. But you cannot impact revenue if you don't invest on people, if you don't build a culture together with your teams. Why I'm telling this? I recently saw research as well that was done in US. 40% of people are willing to quit their jobs in the next 6 months. And why? Because they don't feel valuable, they don't feel that they belong to the company, and they don't feel accountable to change. So let's invest. So from my point of view, the future, we need to invest in people. We need to give accountability. We need to give empowerment to people to build together the culture. Then other metrics will come naturally. But if we as human beings are not healthy, we are not satisfied, nothing happens. And COVID came to show us that the reality is much different than we were working before. Finally, design. After you understood all of these components, design the path to value that you wanted to deliver to the company. Understand what value means from sales enablement professional. Understand what values means for your department, and create your design. I literally have my chart. Okay, 3 months, this is what I want to do. 6 months, 1 year. Having this guide will help you to stick to the value that you put for yourself and you put for your company. Finally, because I really want to give you time for a few questions. Why I brought these topics, sales, and when Jack invited me, okay, Mariana, what can you talk about? I said, no, I can talk about professional, I can talk about agile. Because again, 2-3 years ago, when I was introduced to the agile mindset, which is having the employees owning issues resolutions, valuing every voice, empowering, coaching, trusting on each other, I said, okay, how can I translate those values to my own professional? How does a sales enablement professional with an agile mindset look like? And then I designed these guys for you, preparing for this presentation, naturally by heart, but hopefully you get inspired with a couple of things here. Understand the direction of your company. Aims for continuous improvement, own the path to value, empower stakeholders, talk to HR, talk to marketing, talk to your leadership team, talk to the sellers, talk to a client. How does a client look like in your company? So talk to people, build the culture together, be an impactful player, because we have the opportunity. We were hired for a reason, right? So why not make the difference? And the agile mindset really help us to understand the goals, understand the values, and correct along the way. Finally, in terms of future, I brought something very interesting that I recently came across about career. How does your career and your future look like? There is from World Economic Forum, a study who highlights the top 10 skills for 2025. Take a picture of this, take a look later. You will see that problem solving, self-management, working with people is really the future. Of course, we have metrics, we have technology, all of this is part of. But the human part is very important, and this is the message that I really want to share with you. Finally, I leave you with a question. Do you deliver sales enablement or are you sales enablement professional? And the difference is, if you just deliver something, if you just do something, you organize a workshop, you track, you are done, you go to the next activity. You design a questionnaire, you deliver, and you go to the next activity. But if you are a sales enablement professional, you seek for continuous improvement. You have the dynamic of change embedded on you, and this will motivate you to keep going. This is my message. I will open for some questions. I know that we have maybe 3-4 minutes for that. And let's keep the conversation going. I'm more than happy to take offline any questions. So Jack, do we have time for questions?
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely we do. Thanks so much for that, Mariana. So yeah, we do have a few questions that have come in. So the first question here is, do you think sales enablement should be in the sales department or learning and development?
Well, again, it's all depend on the maturity level of your company and what is the value that they want to get from you. Personally, I was already under communications. I was already under marketing. I'm now under sales. I've never been under learning, but I used to work very close to learning team. If the company wants really as immediate value to bring sales enablement to impact pipeline and business, I would say under sales. Mainly because you, sales enablement person under sales, will be able to understand the marketing, will be able to understand the dynamics of the business, and better bring the strategic view to your discipline. However, you need to deliver training. So you need to partner with training department to deliver the workshops that you envision. If you don't have this opportunity, then you need to envision, create the strategy, and deliver at the same time, either by hiring a company or partnering with someone else in the company to do that.
Nice. Yeah, awesome answer. So next question here is, what should I be doing / reading in order to grow my skills in enablement? Any suggestions?
It all depends on your background. If you are, for example, if you have like me background in communications, I would heavily in marketing. Communications and training, which is usually the natural path. I would heavily invest on business, sales, market, understand the company buyers. I would really invest on the strategic component of sales enablement, because this is where you'll be able to quickly deliver value. If you have a background in sales, invest a little bit time on understanding the training dynamics, understanding the marketing dynamics. It will add you value on that. So analyze again your background, the values that you need to deliver, and then build upon.
Awesome. Yeah, great answer. And hopefully that answers your question, Andrew. And then the final question here is, what's the growth path after being a sales enablement manager doing onboarding?
That's a very good question. Onboarding is something new to my career. I need to be transparent. And for me, onboarding is the business case of a company. If you don't receive well an employee, a salesperson, if you don't equip well the person right at the front and set the tone of the culture, the business needs, and the market, you have problem in the future. So onboarding for me is the foundation. And I think going back to your question here, Mar, the growth path. After you establish a very solid onboarding program, think on the next step. How is the leadership? How is the salespeople? What are the needs after that?
Awesome. Yeah, great answer. That does, in fact, bring us to time. So firstly, Mariana, thank you so much for taking the time to present to us. And as Mariana did say, if you do have any more questions or would like to continue the conversation, please feel free to reach out to her over on LinkedIn, and I'm sure that she'll be more than happy to continue the conversation over there. With that said, Mariana, again, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that tuned in, and we'll see you all very soon.
Thank you so much, Jack. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening to me. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.